Hey everybody, we are looking at $100,000 Bitcoin. This moment, I wanted to be live when it was happening, but it happened. I was on my phone. I was watching another video, and it hit 100K exactly on the button. Then the pullback, and now it's hit 100K. And as you see here, it is going beyond 100K, and it is well on its way from 105 to 108. So that's where our next target is. So we're at 105,000 to 108,000. So we should look to see the Bitcoin dominance rise here over the next, say, 3 days. And what that means is you're going to have a pullback, potentially a potential pullback of certain altcoins, ones that have jumped up a lot and have needed to cool off. We've already seen that over the past couple of days with coins like Cardano, XRP, Algorand, Sui. I'm missing a couple here. There's a few that have just jumped up and risen so high, 4 or 5x in a week, and they need to pull back. They need to cool down because you can't just go up in a God candle. God candle is a straight up candle here. You just can't continue to go on that roll without having some kind of a pullback here. Let's see if I can bring this chart. I can't do it this way here, but anyway, that's what we're looking at right now. We have 100K, 101K Bitcoin now. It just continues to rise. Like I said, it's going to bump. It's going to come back. And over the next week or so, 105, 108, we could hit $110,000. Also, Hedera Hashgraph, which had jumped going crazy from around 5 cents to 40 cents, maybe 41 cents. And has since pulled back, retraced to 29, 30, anywhere from 28 to 32 cents. Called goodbye right now. The next buy target for that is, or the next target for that is between 90 cents and $1.30. Hedera Hashgraph, take a look at it. It's doing a lot. There's a lot of different partnerships out there. It's running in the background right now. It's not on a lot of people's radar right now, but it is a huge opportunity for people to really jump in there and get a crypto at a really good price and potentially get 3-4x again, like I had already done here. So we'll see how Bitcoin goes. It's 101 right now as it continues to rise, which is phenomenal here. And this is the year of the $100,000 Bitcoin parties. It's been talked about people having parties once Bitcoin hit 100,000, but hey, we're going back to when Bitcoin was like 4,000 or 5,000. People are talking about this when it gets to 100K. People are looking at a decade down the road, and just a few short years later, I've been in crypto for 8 years. This is my 8th year in crypto. I got into it in around May of 2017 when I first started buying Bitcoin and other cryptos. And it has, I've seen a meteoric rise going from, say, September, really October, November, December that year. And then December topped, and then all coins exploded in January and in February, really mostly in January. They had their blow off top. And then Bitcoin crashed, went down to probably a couple grand, then went back up to 10, 12. And then during the COVID time, dropped back down to the 4,800 range. This was during the lockdowns. And I remember pulling a life insurance policy. I just pulled 25K out and I'm going to buy 5 more Bitcoin because it was cheaper to buy Bitcoin than it was to mine it at that point, even though Bitcoin is fairly cheap at the point. So I did. I bought 5 more Bitcoin, and that was the best decision I made that year because Bitcoin ended up going up to 20K plus that year in 2020. And that's when Michael Saylor started buying. He said he started looking at it in May of 2020. I don't believe he bought until August 2020. And then he's been buying ever since. And, his company's the biggest holder of Bitcoin as a company. Probably will be overtaken by somebody like Apple or Microsoft should they decide to buy and put Bitcoin in their treasury as well. We'll see where it goes here. But it's fun to watch this. Fun to watch what Bitcoin is doing right now. Let's take a look at markets in general and see if anything else is running with it. Of course, Ethereum, they're all going to take a jump now, right, to an extent. But there will be certain altcoins that will fall back, ones that have already run, like we talked about the Cardanos, the XRPs, because XRP had jumped Tether Now Tether's just jumped XRP here. So I expect XRP to jump back here and overtake it again. We'll see what goes on with Solana. Solana has been lagging lately, which means it's a great time to buy it right now. Doge starting to rise, but nothing going crazy, because what will happen is people start putting money into Bitcoin. As money pumps into Bitcoin, it's going to pull liquidity from some other cryptos, some other altcoins, not the meme coins necessarily, the people who are looking to play the lottery or the Vegas slot machines. But there's ones that are going to jump and there's ones that are not going to jump. They're going to take time. Here's Hedera. It's 29, almost 30 cents. Screaming buy right now. Not financial advice, but I'm buying it. And I'm going to be buying more and more today, tomorrow, this week, as Bitcoin continues to run, because Bitcoin will run, hit its 105, 108, maybe 110, pull back, and then the altcoins will really tear off again. We've got 4 months here of bullishness. So we've got November, December, January, February. I expect this to run until at least January, late January, potentially after the inauguration of President Trump, which is the 20th or 21st, somewhere in that range, and into February. And there'll be a lot of, euphoric feeling because of all the people he's trying to get approved that are crypto favorable people to the SEC and to other parts of his administration. So we'll see how that goes. But we want crypto-friendly people to really help grow this. We're crypto people. That's what we want. And cryptos will go flying up when it happens, but also be prepared to buy the rumor, sell the news. When people are put in place, prices could pull back. We're going to have ups and downs. 2025 is going to be more ups than downs, but be prepared for pullbacks and potential 20, 30, 40% corrections with especially the altcoins, not necessarily Bitcoin. Bitcoin maybe 10, 20, 30 is a big pullback right now. I think we're at the point, because of the ETFs and how much money is going to Bitcoin and how much President-elect Trump has said he's going to back the treasury with Bitcoin. Even if we sell today, I think it was yesterday, he tweeted out that if the treasury sells the current Bitcoin that they seized before, he'll just buy it back. So foolish if they sell it, but they may sell it. We'll see, just to spite him. But he's going to buy it back, which is just bodes well for crypto. And if he buys it back, other countries are going to buy it back. Lots of countries are going to be buying into it, right? Germany sold off a bunch in around the August, September timeframe, which pulled the price down. That was the same time Mt. Gox was settling their Bitcoin, which happened in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, 2014, Mt. Gox meltdown. So we're going back. So that took 10 years for them to get settled out. So that's why we had a lot pulling out of Bitcoin at that point. That's why it was trading sideways for so long, despite the fact that there was interest in it. So this will continue to happen. It'll continue to grow. It should hit 140, 150, somewhere between 135 and 150 by the spring, early spring. We're talking very early spring, March, April. And it could peak out at 175 somewhere in the third or fourth quarter next year, late summer, maybe early fall. Maybe even it could bleed into the fourth quarter. We will see. Depends on how much adoption there is, what the economies look like, what the world economies look like. Are there wars going on? Are the wars being stopped? There's so many different factors that are going to come into play here. We can't know. Nobody has a crystal ball and knows exactly what's going to happen. But very bullish overall right now. The crypto space is lots of good buys out there. Bitcoin just continues to run now at 101,243. You knew once it breaks that threshold of 100K and you had the bears pulling it back, I have a picture of it hitting 100K and then pulling it right back immediately and then going past it again. And then it just blew past. Once it got past, it blew past. And this is what happens. The bulls will beat the bears. And the bulls are beating down on the bears, and it'll go and make its run. And Ethereum's going to start to really probably run, is my guess right now. Ethereum's going to start to run right after Bitcoin makes its run. XRP will make its run again. Solana will really start that. Watch for Solana to start ripping. It wouldn't shock me if Solana hits 500 before the end of December. I just could see that happening. There's a lot of good ones out here. Cardano is going to continue its run. and there's going to be potentially multiple peaks. One of the things I haven't talked about on this channel yet is how many peaks we have. Typically have like a couple of peaks during a cycle. Bitcoin hit one peak and then a bigger peak, and then maybe another peak or just crash down. We may have 2 or 3 peaks. There's a chance we have 3 peaks, right? And which one's the biggest one? Peak 1, peak 2, or peak 3? Generally, your last peak's the biggest one to blow off top with the altcoins. We'll see if that happens. We'll see if that is the case here. But I think there's a good chance that could happen. But hey, good night. Bitcoin's over 100K. It's been crossed 101 and now it's right near 101. Phenomenal. We'll see how much this continues. But yeah, I'm excited about what could potentially continue here on see if we got any news. See what CoinDesk has. Bitcoin hits major milestone of 100K and nears 2 trillion in market cap value. Figured when it would hit 100K, it would near 2 trillion. So just it alone is going to reach 2 trillion, just Bitcoin. So a 4K, 5K, 6K, 8K market top could happen. It could go beyond. It could get to 10K, 10 trillion market cap by the end of this bull market. We will see. Nothing would shock me right now. There's just so much bullishness in crypto right now. There's so much good news coming out. It just wouldn't surprise me one bit. And let's see if we've got any other news here. Nothing big here. Ethereum, threat from Solana. Yeah, Solana will overtake Ethereum eventually, not too far from now. Sui will continue. Yeah, nothing big in news here. Yesterday we had some news, right? Yesterday we had some news in that South Korea had declared martial law for like 3 hours and then stopped. Canceled martial law. I mean, calling martial law is drastic. And usually you're doing that when you're calling the military in. It's massive things going on. This was something that was crazy, kind of a price manipulation of some sort. The crypto markets tanked in Korea. People were selling like crazy, which the whole reason I bring up this point is when things go bad, say like COVID, when COVID happened, when the 2008 financial crisis happened, the first thing people do, human nature, is they panic and they panic sell. Don't do that. Don't ever panic sell. Just sit there and hold it. Unless you're 95 years old and need that money tomorrow, keep it. You're not ready to, you got time. You got time. Hopefully, knock wood, you got time. But don't sell. Don't panic sell. Stay the course. Think of it like a sports game, a football game, right? All right, you have this big lead. You're up 28-14. You turn the ball over. They score. They get the ball back after 3 and out. And now, are you going to panic? What are you going to do? Or are you just going to stay the course? You got to stay the course, right? Same thing with financial world. Don't panic. Don't sell. When there's blood in the streets, that's when you're buying. When there's irrational exuberance, that's when you're selling. When everybody's talking about Bitcoin or crypto or whatever, that's time you got to start thinking, maybe I should be starting to sell. And that usually is the time you want to sell. Anyway, I just want to jump on here and talk a bit about Bitcoin hitting 101,200 plus, which is great. Actually, let's go back. Why don't we do this? Since I have you here, why don't we look at the charts and go back and look at the year to date. Back when Bitcoin in January was 39,000. So if you would have put 40,000 and bought a Bitcoin Plus, your 40,000 would now be worth $101,200 right now. What investment can you do that in? Nvidia maybe was one that was similar. There's not many. Let's go 1 year. Let's go 5 years. When Bitcoin was 10,000 in August of 2020, this was Michael Saylor started to buy. And you go all time, Here's when I got in right around here. It was like 22.80, I believe, when I bought, somewhere right around there, right in this range. Great timing, right? I mean, not as good. Where I wanted to buy was back in 2013, but I just didn't know how to do it. And I probably would have bought Mt. Gox and probably lost a bit what I had. So maybe it was the right time for me to get in here. I rode this out as Bitcoin went to 20,000, rode that down, held my bags, continued, bought Bitcoin back down here in, let's see, they're not going to have the March lows. They're not going to have the March lows in here, unfortunately. March lows were much lower than this. Unfortunately, they're not showing the total low. But as you can see, by February 2021, it was 58.8. Then here's the second top, 61. And here's your third top. Okay, so there was your third top there. There was your three tops. Here you just have kind of a top here at 71 too. Then what we're building now, and God knows what we're going, is probably somewhere between 135 and 150. And then we'll come down and then have one more top. Question is, will the next top will be higher than this or like this? This was bad news because of, remember this. So look at this, what we're looking at here, this pattern here. Oh, I'm not sure if I'm showing it. Make sure I'm getting it. Okay. We're in the right stream. So here's peak 1, just under 60. Peak 2, 61,343, which stood for the longest time because then the next peak we only got to was 45.5 in February 22. Then it crashed, right? And you were down into the 16.5 range in November 22. And then, it steadily increased down a little bit. Boom. Nice increase in December 23. Because that was when the rumors of the ETF were coming out. And of course, it skyrocketed with that, with ETF. Then down, chopped a little bit, went down a little bit, and it skyrocketed up. So with this, do we have that second peak much higher? Is the second peak go up to here? Drop down? Is the third peak higher? Where's the third peak lower? To me, this one, I think what we're going to have is peak, a little bit higher peak, and an even higher peak, a potentially really high 175, 185, could even get to 200 if things went wild. And there was so much liquidity in the market that could happen. Now, that's best case scenario. And the reason I say that is because if you're in altcoins will explode much higher than we think. They will continue to rise way higher, we think, when that last high goes. Because remember, Bitcoin goes up, it's stealing liquidity from the altcoins. When it drops, the Bitcoin dominance drops, then altcoins gain more and they go up. And they go up exponentially more than Bitcoin went up just because they're low market caps. So they go up much, much higher. So great opportunity coming. My gut tells me we're going to have one peak up, second peak higher, third peak even, the highest peak. I think our third peak will be the highest peak, and it will probably be in the third quarter next year. So we're looking at sometime in the summer, towards the summer, late summer, early fall, and the fourth quarter, maybe the alts blow off late third, early fourth, and then boom, we'll go back into crypto winter. And that's when you need to have everything sold that you can. And the new projects, maybe invested a little in, maybe they're okay to hold, but put everything you can in stablecoin, cash, other assets. Maybe at that point you shift to real estate or whatever has been hammered. Say stock market's been hammered. Maybe you then shift to the stock market. That would be your play. And then go back, dollar cost average back into Bitcoin only, because alts will go down 80 to 95%, whereas Bitcoin typically retrace 70 to 80%. I think it was around 70% with all the ETFs, and with the US going to be buying Bitcoin, with more companies likely to be buying Bitcoin, more countries likely to be buying Bitcoin. You are going to have a very small retracement, maybe 40%, maybe 50%. So let's say Bitcoin gets, let's just say 150 to make math simple. Then Bitcoin retraced to 75K. if you're talking about 50%. If it gets to 200, then you're a 100K. So look at those numbers there. And I do believe Bitcoin will be $1 million by 2030. Could be sooner, could be 2028, but by 2030, we only talking 6 years. So there's definitely time for it. And if you look at the history of it, look, it was $218 in 2015 and $255, January 15th, 2015. And now we're at 101,998. So that should tell you all you need to know. 102,000 out Bitcoin just hit. So 102. We're on our way to 105 to 108. We could get to 110. And then altcoins and then Bitcoin will retrace a little, correct? But probably stay above 100. Then the alts are really going to have a run. Be ready for this next run. It might be quick and massive. Be ready to start taking profits. Take money off the table. You can buy back into Bitcoin if you want to, or put it into stablecoin, and then we'll figure it out. Keep watching the channel. I'm going to have more plays for you, which ones are running, which ones are not run yet, which ones are likely the next to be the running to be moving up. We have some of the gaming tokens taken off. We have Sandbox. We have Decentraland, which is the metaverse starting to take off. They're just starting. So they're under $1 still. They're just starting. They're taking off some of the gaming. I think Gala's around 5 or 6 cents. Still ready to take off. There's a lot more gaming, a lot of new gaming coming out here. Some of the new gaming is going to be the best gaming coming out in all likelihood. So that's probably what we're looking at here. Let me remove this. Enjoy the 100K Bitcoin. Let's have our 100K Bitcoin parties. And I will catch you tomorrow.